Begin. Begin. Or?
You introduce.
Oh, I thought you already did it. Okay. Today is Monday, the 2nd of November, 2015. And on this lovely morning, 9:28 a.m., we are having a debate about whether or not genetic modification is a good thing. On my team to the left, we have for genetic modification, and on this team here, to my right, we have against. So, let it be known that the team who is for genetic modification will begin. You have 2 minutes to have your introduction. Emma, please go ahead.
Good morning, adjudicator, timekeeper, secretary and audience. I would like to begin this debate by posing some questions for everyone to reflect on. If I told you there was a way to feed an extra 2 billion starving people in the next 35 years, would you say no? If I told you there was a way that your mother could check out her genetics to find out whether she has the same disease that killed her mother, so she could look into early prevention and treatment, would you stand in her way? If your genetically challenged sister was failing to conceive a baby, would you stand in her way of her chance to finally become a mother? And if your dying father, who was waiting for a kidney transplant, had the chance to prolong his life through cell manipulation, to give him an extra few months, hoping that an organ would come up, would you say no to that? I know these suggestions seem outrageous, but if you are saying no to genetic modification, that's exactly what you're saying no to. Good morning, my name is Emma, and along with my team, we're here to tell you why saying no to genetic modification is unwise. Today, my team is made up of Amanda, who is going to speak about genetic modifications in humans. We have Alina and Wayne, who are going to speak about genetic modification in plants. We have Hala, who is going to speak about genetic modification in animals, and Elga will summarise our main points at the end. Rest assured, we are not here today to tell you that all genetic modification is good. We're not here to tell you that there is not a place for regulation and monitoring. What we are here to tell you is that saying no to genetic modification is far too simplistic.
15 seconds.
Because ultimately saying yes to genetic modification is giving billions of people life over death. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. I would like to turn to the person who's going to introduce their position against genetic modification. Okay, please go ahead.
Good morning, the audience. Today we're going to discuss the thing that genetic modification is not a good thing, and we are against it. And my team is built up from who is going to talk about the dangers of healthcare animals and also about ethical relationship. The same as Mena, she's going to talk about the influence on society, and Ali is going to support her. Shauma is going to raise an issue about religion, and Milena is going to conclude on general harms on to human health. So here it is. Thank you.
Thank you. So now, the first affirmative speaker, you may have the floor.
Yes. Thank you. Imagine that you could end diseases and end the spread of diseases, live longer, healthier lives, and help prevent children from being born with inherited diseases. No one is perfect. The human body is filled with flaws that can bring a lot of suffering for a lot of families. Some families are more affected than others when it comes to being affected by diseases. FAP, commonly known as Skellefteåsjukan in Sweden, is a common disease in my hometown, and it affects families. It is common in other places of the world as well, but especially in my hometown here in Sweden. The disease is caused by a defected mutation in the genes that affects muscles and nerves and destroys them. If your mother has the gene, you have a 50% chance of getting it yourself. Advancing in the field of the genome engineering can help detect these genes and replace them with healthy ones, helping families to have normal lives. Other benefits of human genetic engineering is that you can help cure illnesses and disease in unborn babies, helping them to not suffer the same
10
fate
seconds.
as their other family relatives. There is ethical and moral consideration to this.
Thank
Yes.
you,
Yeah.
Amanda. Sorry that I have to interrupt you like that. Now the negative speaker may go.
The other side appeal more to the emotions, but we have at least 10 scientific studies to show there's potential health risks of genetically modified food. First, for example, in 2010, there's a study shows the multiple toxins from genetically modified food can be detected in maternal and fetal blood. And 2013, there's a study shows the DNA from genetically modified food can be transferred to humans who eat the food. And also there's new studies shows genetically modified food can cause gluten disorder. And also other studies shows the genetically modified corn to rat tumors. And also besides this, there are plenty of studies show this related to human breast cancers and even birth defects and autism, Parkinson. And also it shows to even severe stomach inflammation and enlarged uterus in pigs. So the risk assessment for this genetically modified food is based on very little scientific evidence. So that means the testing method recommended is not adequate to ensure the safety. And also
15 seconds.
okay. Another concern for animal welfare, because we need a lot of animal samples to in order to maintain the scientific value. So and also they will suffer to the surgery procedures.
Thank you. Thank you for that information. The next affirmative speaker.
I'm going to talk about plants which are grown for food, and there are few very serious or big advantages that those plants or the food, genetically modified food, has in terms of effectiveness, economy, and even happiness. Firstly, GMO crops are more productive and have a larger harvest. You can grow it on much smaller plots of land. And they're capable of thriving in regions with poor soil and very adverse climates. That makes it that it might be an answer to feeding growing world population. That means less starvation, lower food prices, and capability of growing plants which can be grown in Africa or Asia or some other regions which have a lot of poverty and starving issues. Secondly, genetically modified foods are more resistant and stay ripe for longer. That means that they can be shipped in long distances and kept on shop shelves longer. That means less waste and less pressure on the nature, and which makes it much more economical as well. And thirdly, they have inbuilt resistance to pesticides and diseases, which means that you don't have to use pesticides
15 seconds.
in all the fields, but you can modify the genetical part of the plant, which means that it is much more safer and environmental friendly.
Thank you,
And-
Medina.
The first point I would like to raise is informing you or reminding you that there are more important issues in our world that we should consider before spending money and time in scientific projects that only lead to the breakdown of our society. According to UNICEF, 22,000 children die each day due to poverty. Do you want to contribute in making the life of more children more miserable? Actually, I would like to emphasize that genetic engineering will definitely lead to a division between a human who were genetic engineered and who were not. Things might in turn give one group advantages than others. Besides, choosing the characteristics of children through artificial genetic engineering could lead to rich people being able to afford this luxury, for instance, creating children more brilliant, while poor people cannot, leading again to a disorder, hate, hostility, stress, consequently increase for the cardiovascular disease and stroke, TIA, caused by temporary blockage of fluid flow to the brain. By genetic modification and genetic engineering, researchers thought that they are ameliorating and making the life of human and more and life conditions and health more better, but in fact they are doing the opposite.
Thank you. Antoine.
Okay, thank you. Now I'll add something about the safety of genetic engineering. As we know, EU has almost the highest, EU cities countries have almost the highest safety requirement of food. And there's a research, overview of the last 10 years researchers and papers during 2002-2012 about more than 50 EU genetic engineering safety programs and over 1,700 papers focusing on it. And after when summarize all this report, we can see there's no significantly risk or hazards for genetic engineering food that's higher than the classical food. So what do we say? The genetic engineering food is as common as our classical food. It's no difference. Almost not. There's no specific dangers or harmfulness for our body or for our health. So also for our environment. So it's as common as what we have in everyday life. So it's a dangerous it's a safety technology.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Yes. The first I will start. I'm not arguing with all the opinion because if we look for our society, we should to take our society to save animals and land. Here is a big company using the engineering for to increase, protect, and to make a lot of money. It's using for our land for in the economy way to save to have a lot of money to increase, protect for the market and a lot of money. There's such we cannot have a free launch with to change our society, to change the animals, to change the human, to change. It's a problem for the society, for economy, for animals, for our life. We should to stay in the natural and don't change and that was my argument.
Thank you. Ella, please proceed.
Hello, everyone. I would like to say something in response to the other team's argument. Thank you very much. They're very good points. As Emma said in the beginning, we're not saying that genetic modification as you said, a lot of monitoring and regulations, and that's what scientists are doing. They're trying their best to make it as safe as possible and sorry, as beneficial as possible. So I'm going to talk a little bit about genetic modification in animals. As we all know, wild animals such as rhinos and tigers and some types of gorillas, they're endangered, and most of them are even extinct right now. So what scientists have done to try to prevent this from happening more, they're trying to clone these animals, to make copies of them, to keep more and more generations of them living on. Another thing about animals is farm animals, livestock, such as sheep and cows and goats. So many scientists have tried and they succeeded to genetically modify these animals, to try to improve the food quality that we get from these animals, also the animal productivity, disease resistance in these animals, and also environmental sustainability. So it only adds up to the nutritional value of these animals, and it doesn't do that much harm. Many scientists have tried and they all succeeded. So that's why I believe that genetically modifying animals is actually a good thing to us humans.
Thank you. And the concluding, oh, no, sorry, just go ahead.
There's one concept from the UN Concert Scientists, which saying that genetic engineering can hinder the moral issues, particularly in religion. We have those kind of societies who has control with the manpower, and this is really not good actually. And if they control the genetic engineering, this kind of technology, they will control the nature, and they will changing their laws and also their economics. This is really big influence in the whole society. Yeah, this is one part.
Thank you. Now we have concluding remarks for this.
So we hear you. We got the point, and what we are standing for is that imagining the worst scenario is so easy, but we showed you here the good things about genetic manipulation. It's not a bad thing, just the word manipulation, because what this helps is giving us longer lives and eliminating diseases in unborn children, which are going to have that from a family inheritance. And then we're going to have food for starving third world countries, and animals, as Ala just said, we're going to help them not to get extinct. So what we are saying, we understand that genetic modification is not all good, but this doesn't give us the responsibility to stop evolving in this area, because what it does, it's helped millions of people through their lives. And do we want to cause more damage to our planet? Because genetic modification helps reduce pesticides. So environmental sustainability is here with genetic modification. So saying no to genetic modification is saying no to feeding the world's starving people. And it's saying no to giving your mother a chance to know her own body and then intervene where something is wrong in her genes. And saying to your sister that she can have her own baby. And to a father who's waiting, who's dying to receive an organ from another human. Do you want to have this responsibility by saying no?
Thank you.
I would conclude that genetic manipulation can lead to potential harm to human health, because there is so many research that show how eating of genetically manipulated animals can influence human health. Also, transgenic crops could bring new allergens into food that sensitive individuals could not know to avoid. An example is transferring the gene for one of the many allergenic proteins found in milk into vegetables like carrots. Mothers who know to avoid giving their sensitive children milk would not know to avoid giving them transgenic carrots containing milk proteins. Genetic from organisms that have never been consumed as food. Some of those proteins could be found allergens. A study by scientists at the University of Nebraska showed that soybeans genetically engineered to contain Brazil nut proteins cause a reaction in individuals allergic to Brazil nuts. Also about environment, genetically engineered crops can potentially cause environmental problems that result directly from engineered traits. The most damaging impact
15 seconds.
of genetically engineered in agriculture is the phenomenon of pesticide resistance. Millions of acres of U.S. farmland are infested by weeds that have become resistant to the herbicide
Thank you.
glyphosate.
Thank you very much. Okay, is anyone left on either side? No. So now we can go on to the discussion where the moderators sum up, ask questions, and voice their own opinions.
All right. So I wrote that. But first of all, thank you to all of you. Good points. Nice debate. I will start with those in favor, quickly summarizing your points. There was a very clear introduction, emotional appealing. I really liked it. The first point was Amanda, and specifically the disease that you talked about, which is spread all around your town, if I understood it correctly. It was emotional appealing because you were talking about your own town, but at the same time, I was missing like maybe a more general view on it. But still, it was good for at least for me, for one point, and bad for another one, because I wanted to be like more general, maybe like what are the other diseases that can that are the same as the one that you mentioned. Then we talked about plants and economy being more productive, the advantages. You said that there will be less waste, but still we are wasting a lot, like food in restaurants. A lot of food is being thrown out. So, then I would just conclude, a lot of research show no significant risk, but still some risk, was your point. Endangered animals, we talked about after that, and the concluding statement, which was summarizing what you have said in general, and emotional appealing as well. Instead, those against, the introduction, I felt it was kind of weak. I would have wanted like something more. You were summarizing what the others were going to say, but you didn't like bring up what was your stand. The second speaker said less emotions and more scientific studies. Good point, because you answered back to them. And then you talked about how genetic food, modified food affect humans and babies, gluten disorder, cancer. And at the end, you added animal welfare. I felt it was like out of place. You should have just maybe stick to what you were saying before, instead of adding one more argument, like the last 10 seconds. Then someone else talked about the division between humans. Yeah. And then the speaker after that talked about general problems, as controlling the word, for instance. So it was kind of repetitive. And then in the conclusion, great conclusion, at the same time you added more points, and that confused me a little bit. I would have rather have like a summary of what has been said before. As for instance, you talked about pesticides, and that was such a great point because they talked about it, and you could have, like maybe someone else could have answered back to that, because I like there you got my attention. I was like, okay, so pesticides, plants are more resistant because of genetic modification. That was a good point. So all in all, I think it's like playing chess. This it's like you have to think about what the others are going to say next, and it's very, very difficult, and you did a good job. It was our first debate, so that's maybe why, like, you don't, whenever we say something, I think we shouldn't be that normative in the arguments that we are presenting. And I felt like on this side, you were kind of more down to earth. Like you were saying, yeah, genetic modifications is not all good, but still there's something good about it. And you could have added some more, like a point on regulations. That would have been effective. And this team was more about researches and less emotional appealing. So maybe you should have counterbalanced that with like some more charisma in what you were saying. Like some more, yeah, I'm really convinced about it, and now I'm going to show you why. All right, sorry, that took long, but I had my thoughts.
No, it didn't take long. It was fine. So, do I conclude now?
Well,
Maybe
now,
our
now we
Can
have,
we open the floor?
yeah, I think so. And after that, we will vote.
Okay.
You can ask if anyone from the team, a yes or no, want to change the floor.
Okay, so before we open the floor for a short discussion, we can ask the affirmative team, would anybody here like to change their stance on their opinion on genetic modification? No. Negative team, would anybody here like to change their stance on genetic modification? No. I think that's very clear. Would anybody in the audience like to present a question or ask a question or present an opinion? No. So now we take a vote. Does the vote involve the audience as well?
Yes.
So now we will take a vote. Those of you in favor of genetic modification, please raise your hand.
Like now. Yeah.
Oh, I can't vote. I don't know.
You can vote. You can.
Those of you in favor, raise them high so I can see them, please.
So
Those against? I think the result is clear, and the team for the affirmative on genetic modification has won the debate.
okay, thank you.
Thank you all for your interesting